Hey everybody, it's Alan Brochstein coming to you from Houston, Texas to talk about cannabis stocks. I run 420 Investor, which is now well established as I approach my 10-year anniversary, operating now at Seeking Alpha, where I also have been a publisher of articles since 2007, very active recently. I also run New Cannabis Ventures. So you're interested in cannabis stocks. Very few people are. We just finished up the second quarter, and the second quarter was down about as much as the first quarter. We're down 22.8% year to date. We're in a bull market for stocks. I don't quite understand that, but the S&P 500 is up, depending on how you look at it, up 15% or 16% year to date, and we are down 22.8%. I don't think that's always going to be the case, but I've been trying to be very clear at New Cannabis Ventures and also with my subscribers at 420 Investor. I don't see an end to this bear market soon yet. That doesn't mean we can't end tomorrow, but I'm not seeing it yet. The things I see that really bother me are, number one, the low trading volume, very low. And number two and three, two things that need to change, and both of which, if they do, will help us. The ability for American cannabis companies to trade on the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange, I think would be good. When's that going to happen? I have no friggin' idea. And then the other thing, more important in my view, is for 280E taxation, which is outrageous. It's decades old, and it makes it very difficult for cannabis companies because they pay taxes not on their net profits, but on their gross profits. If you're not an accountant, what that means is if you buy something for 20 cents on the dollar and you sell it and you don't have any, forget about the other expenses, you pay tax on 80% of your revenue. 100 minus 20 is 80. Now, the reality is the gross profits on cannabis are more like 50%. So you're paying tax on half of your revenue. And the net income can be negative or low. So you're paying a very high tax. This has been going on for a long time. And people, including me, have always thought, well, it won't be forever, it's going to go away, but it's still here. And right now, the industry is facing two big problems. It's not growing very fast, and access to capital is tough. So with that in mind, I want to go over, I put it out on in my social media last night. I published a newsletter that's already published at Seeking Alpha, and in it I reviewed the big news from last week for the overall market, which was basically every MSO and their sister or brother said, hey, we're going to be selling adult use in Maryland starting today, July 1st. We know. Do we care? No. Maryland is not that big of a state. Maybe it'll get something from other states. I don't think it's a big deal. It's not a bad deal. It's just not a really good deal. I did distribute a piece at Seeking Alpha. It's worth a read if you're a long-term investor. If you're a short-term investor, you might as well be shorting these stocks. I'm not going to ever tell my paying subscribers, you should short this stock, but I share plenty of negative information and they can figure it out for themselves. The piece I wrote this week at Seeking Alpha, I write a piece a week, was Planet 13 Holdings is a great cannabis investment. And this is coming from a guy who is married in a way to cannabis stocks, right? I've been doing this for more than 10 years. Fully focused since the beginning of 2014 professionally on cannabis stocks. And I don't like them much much right now. I've been explaining this over and over and over, but I really like Planet 13, and you can read that piece to see why. It is a big part of both of my model portfolios. Does that mean it's going to go up? No. Does it mean it's going to go down less than others? Well, hopefully. There was some news among the 27 names that I cover closely, my focus list. Air extended some of its debt. This is still a problem for the company. And I used to think it's not that big of a problem. They got plenty of time. And this added a little bit of time to it, but it's still a problem. They have a lot of debt. The next one is canopy growth. And if I could pick one thing that I've gotten right this year, is I've been very negative on canopy growth. I've written about it at Seeking Alpha. I've written about it in our newsletter at New Cannabis Ventures. I've been very clear. Bad, bad, bad. And if you own canopy growth, you should really ask yourself, why? Why didn't I read Alan? Why didn't I listen to Alan? But that aside, you should really ask yourself, what is it that you're rooting for? It used to be, not that long ago, that people were thinking they're going to convince NASDAQ, and then they're going to be able to buy Wana Brands, Jetty Extracts, and Acreage. Well, Wana Brands is okay. They already paid for it, almost all the money. And the other two are not that great. Now, the real question about NASDAQ and canopy growth is, oh my God, the price is below 50 cents. It's below 40 cents. NASDAQ's going to kick their ass off unless they do a reverse split. And the cannabis traders, who are retail, not professional, they hate reverse splits. Look at Organigram. Look at Village Farms. Those are two other LPs, among others, that are facing big problems in the market because of their stock price. And this extends to U.S. companies as well. All right. So Canopy Growth sold some real estate in California. I had to look it up. It's not easy to figure out what the hell it was or where they got it from. I think it might have been related to, I'm not sure. I think it might have been related to their non-cannabis business. But anyway, they got some money. They need some money. So that's good, I guess. But the big news this week, there were two pieces of big news. One, their auditor quit. That's never good. And I posted the letter on Twitter. You can find it if you want, or you can look it up in the SEC filing. It's nasty. KPMG, who everybody who knows anything has heard of, walked away from Canopy Growth. I guess the good news is they found someone else. So then the other piece of news that I thought was even worse. It took people a little bit of time to figure out how bad this was, but the company pounded the table. We just paid off some debt. Woo! What did they do? They paid 12.5 million Canadian. They issued 24.3 million shares. Wow. That debt was really, really expensive. And if you research why I'm so negative on the company, you'll find it's their debt that worries me the most. Bad company, bad management, bad balance sheet. Okay, Columbia Care wasn't acquired by Cresco by their deadline. Oh no! So that wasn't really news. And then on Cresco, in addition to that, they opened 2 more Pennsylvania stores. On Green Lane, which is trading way, way, way below tangible book value and way, way, way below its revenue, they were talking about doing a $5 million deal at $1.99. Remember, they just reverse split. And instead, they priced $4 million at $1.05. Pathetic. But I added a bunch in my model portfolios that morning that it was announced. I paid 90, 91, and 98, I think. So an average of 93 cents. It did close higher than that. finally making some money on Greenlane. It's been hard. Greenlane is a client of New Cannabis Ventures, by the way. That doesn't make me like them. No, I like them because of what I told you. I think it's a good brand, very cheap. All right, GTI opened its 6th Virginia dispensary. Planet 13 announced that its Cannabition will open in early 2024. Trulieve opened its 3rd Georgia dispensary. TerrAscend was really busy this week. If you believe that the number of press releases that a company puts out should be no more than 1 a week, maybe 2, they broke that rule. If you believe that lots of press releases are negative, I'm with you. And I will tell you, I think TerrAscend is very overvalued. I also think their management's good, and I think it's a premium company. But the premium that investors are paying right now is way high. The stock is up a lot year to date, says the guy that was very long it at year end and doesn't own it right now. Their news included finalization of their TSX uplisting. I don't care. It's not a big deal for the company. Maybe it leads to the New York Stock Exchange and or the NASDAQ reconsidering their bans on U.S. cannabis operators. They also completed a $20.5 million capital raise. I don't blame them. Their stock is very expensive in my view. Then they borrowed $25 million from a bank. Woo! They closed 2 Maryland acquisitions and announced a 4th one. And they used their the money that they raised to pay off $37 million in 12 7/8 debt in Pennsylvania. They're buried in Pennsylvania. They put a lot of money into it, and that market is not good for them right now. It's not good for anybody. Now, don't worry, they only have $78 million more to go at 12 7/8. So a lot of news this week, but at the end of the day, in my view, expensive stock and still some challenges. And then finally, Verano opened its 69th Florida dispensary. And Elon Musk is a big fan of the number 69 and 420. And rumor has it that he is going to go shop at that new Verano dispensary because it's number 69. I don't know. He likes cannabis, and I don't know, he likes the number 69. This week, the cannabis market rallied. Woo! But it was only up 1.2% to 750 on the global cannabis stock index. It started the quarter at 850. So we had a big down quarter. Now, these numbers are both worse. The quarterly and year-to-date performance were down 22.8%. And we dropped 11.8% in Q2. The weekly move, the June move, the quarterly move, the year-to-date move, they're all a lot worse than the S&P 500. Okay, I run 2 model portfolios. They're both doing very poorly right now. I'm not afraid to talk about it, but the global cannabis stock index dropped 7.7% this week. It's down 29.3% year to date. It's not doing what it's supposed to do, what I've always done, beat the index. No, it's a little bit behind. Halfway through the year, there's still time. And then the newer one, which I started at year end, beat the American Cannabis Operator Index, was down 3% this week. And the index was down 1.9%. And I also try to beat MSOS, but year to date, that one's down 29.7%, and the index is down only 15%, so I'm about twice as bad. And MSOS is down only 20.7%. I believe I will do better, but I have to admit, I am not. If you're a subscriber to 420 Investor, I can explain what's gone wrong. I always end this by talking about the calendar, and there's nothing on the calendar this week. We're starting to get some August dates for Q2 calls. All right, y'all have a nice week, and let's root for cannabis, even though I don't see a near-term positive. Take care.